I'm Ethan, 32, and my life has been shaped by the creak of wooden shelves and the musty scent of old books in my small bookstore in Maplewood, New Jersey. The shop, Page's Pines, is my sanctuary, a cozy haven where locals linger over coffee and well-worn novels. It's been enough to keep me grounded, to pay the bills for our modest suburban home, where Lila and I built a life. Lila, my partner of 8 years, is a yoga instructor with a spirit as fluid as her classes. Her wardrobe of flowing linens and beaded bracelets always seemed to carry the calm of her studio. We committed to each other 4 years ago, under a starlit sky in a quiet ceremony, just us and a few close friends. I thought our love was like the books I cherished, dog-eared maybe, but enduring, full of stories we'd write together forever. Lila loved her artistic escapes, gallery openings in Montclair, weekend retreats in the Catskills, or candlelit dinners I'd plan with her favorite rosemary focaccia and Pinot Noir. Those moments felt like our glue, binding us through life's little plot twists. I believed we were solid until Aria Voss blew into town like a storm in late August. Aria, Lila's old art school friend from Pratt, was a force, loud, unapologetic, with a mane of crimson hair and a wardrobe that screamed Brooklyn Bohemian. She preached empowerment like a revivalist, tossing out lines like embrace your desires and claim the passion you deserve. She was staying for a week, she said, to reconnect with Lila. From the moment we sat down for dinner at a farm-to-table spot in town, I felt the air shift. Aria barely answered my questions about her travels, instead leaning across the table to Lila, her eyes gleaming. Partners need to pour into your heart, or someone else will, she said, her gaze flicking to me like a challenge. Lila soaked it up, her laugh brighter for Aria's stories of gallery hops in Soho than for our quiet evenings reading poetry. I stayed quiet, but a knot tightened in my chest. Aria left, but her influence lingered like smoke. Lila started pulling away, her fingers always dancing over her phone, texting Aria late into the night. I told myself it was just a phase, her craving for inspiration. Then one evening, tidying up our shared laptop, I found a voice recording. Aria's voice was unmistakable. Lila, shake things up, take some space, crash at a retreat for a few days. Let him feel the void of your light. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just advice, it was a plan, and Lila hadn't pushed back. I played it again, the words sinking deeper each time. That night, Lila sat me down, her voice soft but firm. I need solitude, Ethan, to find clarity. She was joining Aria at a retreat, she said. I nodded, swallowing the ache. Follow your path, I murmured, my voice steady despite the storm inside. She looked surprised, maybe expecting a fight, then kissed me lightly. A kiss that once sparked fire but now felt like a fading ember. She packed a small bag and left. The next morning, our banking app pinged. Not Aria's address, but the Willowbrook Inn, a boutique hotel an hour away. Then a charge for 2 at a cafe with a view of the Delaware Water Gap. My pulse quickened. By dawn, another alert. A digital gift to Lila's e-wallet from someone named Marcus Hale, with a note. Our evening under the moon was enchanting. I screenshot it, my hands shaking. At the shop, Theo, a regular who always bought mystery novels, mentioned his wife saw Lila at a poetry lounge in Princeton, deep in conversation with a man, too close for strangers. I checked our home security feed. Lila hadn't been back. Her travel bag's locator showed her at Harbor Lights Apartments, nowhere near Aria's place. More alerts rolled in. Art supply stores, a $180 picnic basket from a gourmet shop, a cozy bookstore cafe in Lambertville. This wasn't solitude. This was something else. I didn't confront her. Instead, I opened a separate savings account, funneling my earnings there to protect what I'd built. I started gathering evidence, receipts, screenshots, that damning voice note. I met with Mira Lang, a family lawyer in town, who looked over my notes with a sharp eye. Secure your foundation, Ethan, she said. Don't let shared assets slip away. That day I cut access to our joint account. Back at the shop, I packed Lila's things. Not out of spite, but clarity. Her scarves, her yoga mats, her sketchbooks went into boxes by the door. By the end of the week, I had separation papers drafted. Lila texted, suggesting we talk on Thursday. I agreed, keeping my response short. The knot in my chest had hardened into resolve, but beneath it, a quiet ache whispered of the life we'd once dreamed of together. Thursday came, and the bell above the bookstore door chimed as Lila walked in, Arya at her side. They were arm in arm, their faces glowing with a forced ease that didn't reach their eyes. Lila's linen dress swayed as she moved, but her usual calm seemed brittle. Arya, in a bold floral jumpsuit, scanned the shop like she owned it. They froze when they saw the neatly stacked boxes by the entrance, Lila's belongings, packed with care. I stood behind the counter, a manila folder in hand, my heart steady but heavy. "Ethan," Lila started, her voice catching. "What's this?" I slid the folder across the counter, its contents spilling out like a confession. Receipts from the Willowbrook Inn, screenshots of the locator pings from Harbor Lights, Marcus Hale's note about their enchanting evening. Lila's face drained of color. Arya opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. "Don't," I said, my voice low but firm. "This isn't your story." Lila's eyes darted to the papers, then to me. "Ethan, I got lost," she stammered. "I needed to feel seen." Her words hung in the air, fragile and unconvincing. Arya tried again, her tone sharp. "You're suffocating her, Ethan. She deserves to breathe." I ignored her, keeping my gaze on Lila. "You strayed, you lied, and you spent our dreams," I said, each word measured. "This," I gestured to the folder, "is the truth." I pushed the separation papers forward. "Our chapter's done." Lila's hands trembled as she reached for them, her eyes welling up. "I didn't mean for this," she whispered. I got caught up." But I'd heard enough. The evidence was undeniable, and her excuses couldn't rewrite the past. Arya tugged at Lila's arm, muttering about leaving, but Lila stayed rooted, staring at the boxes. "You packed my things?" she asked, her voice small. I nodded. I needed to move forward. She flinched, and for a moment, I saw the woman I'd loved, the one who'd laughed with me over late-night coffee, who'd traced constellations with me in our backyard. But that woman felt like a memory now, faded like the pages of a book left too long in the sun. They left without another word. Arya's arm around Lila's shoulders, the bell chiming their exit. I locked the door behind them and sank into the armchair in the reading nook, the weight of 8 years settling over me. The next few days were a blur of routine, opening the shop, helping customers, restocking shelves. But the quiet moments stung. My brother, Nolan, stopped by, his pickup parked crookedly outside. Over beers at the counter, he listened as I spilled everything. "Cut out the noise, man," he said, clapping my shoulder. "Her family's gonna call, beg you to take her back, don't let 'em in." He was right. Lila's mom left voicemails pleading for forgiveness for her lapse. I didn't call back. Instead, I recited the facts to myself like a mantra. The receipts, the messages, the lies. It kept me grounded. Word got around Maplewood fast. Theo, the mystery novel guy, mentioned seeing Lila at a diner alone, looking like she'd lost her spark. I didn't ask for details. The banking app showed no more charges, and Marcus's name stopped popping up. I heard through a mutual friend that their fling fizzled when the joint account dried up. Lila had moved into a small loft downtown, trading her whimsical scarves for a barista job at a cafe. I didn't gloat. Instead, I hung my old literary map back on the shop wall, a tattered chart of bookstores from Boston to San Francisco, places I'd dreamed of visiting with Lila. Now, it was a reminder of what I could still chase on my own. Evenings in the shop grew quieter, but not empty. I started hosting poetry nights, the kind Lila used to love. Locals filled the chairs, their voices weaving new stories into the air. One night, as I arranged chairs, a woman named Claire lingered after the reading. She was a librarian from Morristown, with warm brown eyes and a laugh that felt like sunlight. We talked about Vonnegut and old jazz records until closing. She didn't know my past, and I didn't offer it. But as she left, promising to come back for the next reading, I felt a flicker of something new. A hope that maybe, just maybe, the next chapter could hold a different kind of love. Weeks turned into months, and the divorce proceedings moved forward like a gentle current, without the storms I'd feared. Lila's family kept reaching out, her mom with tearful calls about just a lapse in judgment, her sister sending long emails pleading for reconciliation. I recited the truths each time, the receipts, the messages, the locator trails that painted a picture of betrayal. Then I'd disconnect, the click of the phone a small act of closure. My brother Nolan swung by the shop more often, bringing takeout from our favorite Italian spot in Newark. "Tune 'em out, Ethan," he'd say, his voice steady like an anchor. "You're building something real here." I heeded his words, letting the noise fade into the background hum of daily life. Lila's fling with Marcus Hale withered fast once the money from our joint account dried up. No more gourmet picnics or scenic cafe dates. Word around town was she'd relocated to a modest loft above a laundromat in downtown Maplewood, her flowing wardrobe traded for practical jeans and shifts at the local coffee shop. The whimsical indulgences, Aria's empowerment retreats, artisanal jewelry, were gone, replaced by the grind of starting over. I didn't seek her out, but glimpses came through mutual friends. Lila looking thinner, her eyes shadowed, sketching alone in parks that once held our laughter. It tugged at me, that old tenderness, but I reminded myself she'd chosen a momentary spark over our woven tapestry. Back at Page's Pines, I repositioned my cherished map of literary landmarks on the wall, a faded poster marking spots like the Strand in New York, Powell's in Portland, indie gems across the country. It was a reminder of the steadfast passions that anchored me, the smell of fresh ink, the weight of a good story in my hands. The shop felt alive again, busier with poetry nights drawing crowds from neighboring towns. Aria's social media barbs, cryptic posts about toxic bindings and freeing the soul, dissolved into irrelevance, her account going quiet as quickly as she'd stormed in. In the soft glow of my reading nook, surrounded by stacks of volumes that had seen me through darker days, I discovered a serenity in the hush. The betrayal had carved out space, and in that quiet, I began to heal. One crisp October evening, as leaves turned the streets of Maplewood into a canvas of gold and red, I arranged a quiet night for myself with a new volume of poetry, Mary Oliver's words on love and loss feeling like a balm. The shop was closed, the only light from a single lamp casting warm shadows. That's when Claire returned, unannounced, her knock soft but insistent. She stood on the doorstep in a wool coat, holding a thermos of what smelled like chamomile tea. "I couldn't stop thinking about that Vonnegut discussion," she said, her smile shy but genuine. "Mind if I join you?" I stepped aside, my heart skipping in a way it hadn't in months. We settled into the nook, sharing tea and verses, her laughter weaving through the lines like a melody. Claire was different from Lila, not in the ethereal artistic way, but grounded, with a curiosity that matched my own. A librarian by trade, she spoke of forgotten authors and hidden library treasures with the same passion I felt for my shelves. As the night deepened, we talked about dreams deferred, her recent divorce after years of a loveless marriage, my fresh wounds from Lila's choices. "Sometimes, the end of a story is just the beginning of a better one," she said, her hand brushing mine accidentally, or maybe not. I felt it then, a subtle hope stirring, like the first page of a novel promising adventure. Over the following weeks, Claire became a fixture. She'd drop by after her shifts, helping me unpack new arrivals or recommending reads from her collection. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rumbled over the Delaware, we shared a stolen kiss in the stacks, right there among the romances, her lips soft and tasting of peppermint. It wasn't the wild passion of youth, but something deeper, heart-touching in its honesty. We whispered vows under the awning of the shop as the storm passed, promising not grand escapes but steady companionship. Weekend drives to literary festivals in Philadelphia, quiet suppers with her homemade apple pie, building a life from the pages we both loved. Looking back, Lila's pursuit of that fleeting spark had forfeited our shared dreams. But it taught me about true, unyielding affection, the kind that endures plot twists without crumbling. Our past romances, stolen kisses in rain-swept parks like Branch Brook, whispered vows at dawn on our porch, faded into valuable lessons. Now, with Claire, the next story bloomed with fresh, enduring love. As winter approached, snow dusting the map on my wall, I knew I'd turn the page to something real.